Hello, this is Mr. Molo for lesson 1-3, multiplying and dividing real numbers. This should be a pretty quick lesson. Multiplying and dividing real numbers is a lot simpler than adding and subtracting real numbers. Okay, so our objectives are to multiply and divide real numbers. So kind of like what we talked about, I think we talked about this in class with powers. It kind of makes sense about with negative numbers. So if I have 5 times 2, there's 10. I have 5 times 1, that's 5. I have 5 times 0, there's 0. So it kind of follows the pattern of what's going to be next. So 5 times a negative 1 is going to end up being a negative 5. And when you ask why, well, it's because math always follows patterns. So here you can see we're subtracting 5 every time. Well, even without putting the negative 2 here, you should know that if I'm following the pattern, that my answer for this one's going to be negative 10 because I went down by 5 every time. Some people ask why this is so. Well, it's because, math always follows a pattern. Math makes sense. So that's why if you multiply a positive and a negative, you're going to end up with a negative. So that's pretty much our only rule. So if you have the same sign, it's going to be positive. So whether you're multiplying two positive numbers or two negative numbers, they both have the same sign, your answer is going to be positive. If you have different signs, it's going to be negative. One positive, one negative, it's always going to be negative. Okay, so if I have 35 divided by negative 5, I know right away I have different signs. My answer is going to be negative. 35 divided by 5 is 7. Alright, here this is where the rule kind of gets a little blurry. Okay, so since I have two negative signs, they're going to kind of cancel out, so it's really going to be a positive. So I get a positive times a positive, so I know my answer is going to be positive. I'm going to do this part first since it's a lot easier to multiply that. So half of 12 is 6. 6 times 4 is 24. Let's see if my pen will draw this 2. Okay. Reciprocals. So two numbers are the reciprocals if their product is 1. What does that mean? That means if I have something like 1/2 and I multiply it by 2 over 1, that means those two numbers are reciprocals. It means they're flipped around, they're opposites. And then when their product, that means a multiplication problem, is 1. Well, 1 times 2 is 2, 2 times 1 is 1, or 2 times 1 is 2, so I have 2 over 2, so then 2 over 2 is 1, so I know that they are reciprocals. Okay, kind of the same thing here. 10 divided by 5 is really the same thing as 10 times 1/2, which would give you 5. Okay, remember, dividing fractions, I'm really going to flip that second fraction. So I have 3 over 10 times a negative 5 over 6. Okay. And I like to simplify at the end, so I'm just going to simplify these at the end. So 3 times 5 is 15, and I have one negative, so it doesn't matter, so it's going to be a negative 15, and 10 times 6 is 60. And I can simplify that. 15 goes into 15 one time, 15 goes into 64 times, so I end up with a negative 1/4. If I wanted to simplify those earlier on, I can cancel out over here. Go away, Cortana. I cancel these out over here, so negative, so 5 and 10 can cancel out to be 1 and 2. Because 5 goes into 5 one time, 5 goes into 10 two times. 3 and 6 can cancel out to again be 1 and 2 because 3 goes into 3 one time and 3 goes into 6 two times. So I really just end up with 1 times 1 and then 2 times 2, which is still going to give me 1/4. Multiplying or dividing, remember our rules for dividing by 0. So 0 divided by 15 is 0. Okay, 0 can go into 15 0 times. 22 divided by 0 is undefined. That's not possible. 22 cannot go into 0. It makes no difference. That's negative. Anything divided by 0 is 0. And then anything times 0 is going to be 0, no matter what it is. We'll just do some problems here. So if I have a times b, if a is 8 and b is negative 4, so positive 8 times a negative 4 is going to give me a negative 32. A divided by c, so 8 divided by negative 2, so positive 8 divided by negative 2 is going to give me a negative 4. And then I multiply them all together, so I get 8 times 4 is 32, 32 times 2 is 64, and then I have two negatives, so they're going to cancel out, so it's going to end up being a positive 64.